Hello. Weight loss and personal development. Subject's very close to my heart, having had to lose quite a lot of weight when I was a bit younger, and always having had to keep a fairly tight rein on what I ate, and sometimes the rein slips. So recently I've had to lose a few pounds again, and it's been a revelation actually, just getting myself to do it. It's a funny process, because it doesn't really cut in until you decide once and for all you're going to damn well do something about it. And up until then, you can be saying over and over to yourself, oh, I've got to lose those extra pounds, I've got to get rid of them, they're such an eyesore. But until you actually bloody well do something about it, you don't do anything about it. And it's watching the mind play tricks. It's quite an education to see how tricky the mind is, how many games it can play, how much deceit it can create. You know, it comes up with all these strategies for avoiding the thing that you have to do. Yet somehow you know perfectly well what you have to do, which is to bloody well lose weight and get on with it. But the mind will always ask for another week, another day. You know, I've got this one, I know exactly what to do, blah-de-blah-de-blah. No. The mind is just there to deceive you, to stay in the comfort zone, and to deal with you in a way that's less than what you deserve, because it's always going to play those deceitful games. And until you realise that, and stay firm in your intent, just like I had to realise that, you're never going to get past it. I mean, I say this as much to myself as I do to you, because I'm as much subject to the whims and vagaries of this part of me that is an agent for deceit and confusion as much as anything. We always think the deceit and the confusion are out there, but in fact a lot of it's located inside, with the mind just playing tricks on us. And it does it in so many different ways. You know, a person's capacity for self-deceit is seemingly boundless, because the mind has become so strong over time. And where does that get us? Absolutely nowhere, except up the creek. And if you can get past it, you know, even just for a bit, then sense comes in. I mean, you know, you must know the feeling yourself. You have to almost literally drag oneself by the scruff of the neck to do something which is good for you, just to get past that naysayer, that ridiculous entity which stops us fulfilling ourselves, because it always says, well, I got a handle on this one, I know what I'm doing, and of course it doesn't. And so that is the mind. I'm sure this is the same mind that has been talked about elsewhere. I mean, I studied the work of Andy Shaw, who wrote Creating a Bug-Free Mind and Using a Bug-Free Mind a lot. And this is precisely the mind he's talking about, with its games playing. He calls it the ego, I call it the mind. It doesn't matter, it's the same deal. It's always going to just create confusion and trick one into complacency without taking action. And he's quite emphatic on this. You know, until you actually take action, you don't know that you have to do something. And I heard that again recently when I was listening to a talk by Gareth J. White at Funnel Hacking Live 2019, and he was saying exactly the same thing. You know, the fiction we tell ourselves, the lies we spread. And we always say, oh yes, we're going to do this, that and the other. And, you know, we'll join in the hurrah chorus to say we are and how committed we are. And then we get confronted with a situation which actually says, are you going to do this? Have you got a handle on this? Really? Are you going to give up smoking? Are you going to start to lose weight? Are you going to go and ask that woman out with you, to go out with you? You know, it's always there, isn't it? yapping away, telling us, how wonderful we are when we're not doing something that's wonderful, and just generally getting in the way. So if I had a message for anybody at this point, I'd say, if there is something that you're thinking of doing which you think you have to do, just cut in at the first possible moment and go and do it. Grab your wave out of that, when the tide is in your favour, just take it. It doesn't matter so much where it's going to take you, as long as you can get out of the place you're stuck in. You can deal with the directions later. And maybe that's sort of slightly simplistic in itself, but as I said, this part of the mind which says, no, I've got a handle on this, I'm completely in control. It is in control because it's deceiving one. It's an insidious thing, and definitely steps must be taken to get past it. I mean, Andy Shaw has this exercise called No Mind, which I've used plenty of times myself, and it's very good because at least it gives you a rest from mental traffic, mental chatter. And you get to a point within yourself which is closer to who you are, and you've turned off the mental chatter, and you can just live in a space where there's nothing going on inside your mind. And it's a point of perfect stillness as well, because if you're deeply enough in that space, you can't be upset. Of course, when you come out of it, then the mind crowds right the way back in, and the idiot show starts again. But using tools like that do get us past it. But I had a friend, and he was a friend, he wasn't me, in some other guise, who used to say the whole time, I'm going to go up smoking. And he'd say it sort of maybe 5 times a day or 5 times an evening. And yet he'd appear the next time you saw him, always with a cigarette in his mouth. I mean, at that age, I doubt he needed to, even though he had a hacking cough. But as he got older, he probably lied to himself more. I lost touch with him, mercifully, really. Because he's probably still bullshitting to himself even now. I got to go up smoking. For God's sake. That's it. I mean, he's at the mercy of the same force that I was with my weight and stuff. That's a typical example of how the mind can just, play let's pretend for 20 minutes or something. And I mean, everybody's got it. I don't want to be too judgmental on myself or on other people. We're all in this state where we're only human, and quite frankly, I'm surprised we haven't blown each other up completely by now. Anyway, this is supposed to be about weight loss and personal development, and I guess it is, because when you see excellence inside yourself, then make the most of it, because you don't know what else is there that can sort of detract from your sense of your feeling of satisfaction with yourself and your achievements, and lead you up a garden path of false achievements in the future. Anyway, that's the mind and self-deceit, and where we are at times when we're at the mercy of the mind, instead of getting on with doing the things we know that we should do. Thank you for listening. I'll catch you on another video sometime.